We all know that access to healthy foods is not always easy or affordable for many.
Big agriculture producers control FDA. And so they're not worried about public health. They're worried about advancing the mercantile interests of those corporations, and they've let them do things. You know, the carcinogenic that they are going to cause ADHD in your kids. If you go across the border to Canada or to Europe, you have the same product, but it has no dyes in it.
Right.
It has good ingredients. So these companies know how to do it.
Right.
That they can get away with right here.
Do you know how you'd approach fixing it? I wouldn't talk that. I want you to answer that, but first I want you to go to the studio audience. James, you're over there. You have a question for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for just taking our questions and being here. But we all know that access to healthy foods is not always easy or affordable for many. What are some ways that you hope to change this?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would say that you cannot afford to eat bad food, because it's going to affect your health and you're going to pay later on. And, you know, with food, we can solve the diabetes crisis. Most people who have diabetes or pre-diabetic can be cured with good food. And if they choose instead to be cured by Ozempic, the government then pays $1,500 a month for the rest of their lives. And with a fraction of that, we could give everybody organic foods 3 meals a day in this country. What I would do is, you know, the first thing I do isn't going to cost you anything, because I'm just going to tell the cereal companies to take all the dyes out of their food.
It seems pretty
give
simple.
Us the same cereal. President Trump was cooking him at McDonald's the other day, giving people French fries. And people criticized me, and they said, well, you know, he's out there giving fast food. And I said, I don't have anything against fast food. I'm against food that has seed oils. When I was a kid, McDonald's was made with tallow fat. That was good for you. And your body needs that. It makes you healthy.
Great.
Why aren't we making it with tallow fat again? They, you know, in England, McDonald's has a McDonald's French fry has 3 ingredients in it. It's like potato, sugar, and some, you know, oil or tallow. Yeah, salt. Sorry, potato, salt, and some tallow fat. In our country, it has 17 ingredients.
Wow.
And none of them are good for you.
Okay, well, obviously something's got to give. Lynn, right in the front row, RK, has got a question for you. Lynn?
Hi. I grew up a Bostonian where the Kennedy name is sacrosanct. How did you get the courage to stand up against the liberal media and your famous family?
Well, I was led one thing to another. I saw what the truth that was happening to our kids, and I had to make a choice between whether I was going to whether I was going to try to help people get healthy again. And then there were other reasons that I left the Democratic Party. The party that I grew up with was the party of peace. It was the party of constitutional rights and civil rights. It was the party of that stood up to Wall Street and the big corporations. Today's Democratic Party is the party of war. It's the party of censorship. It's the party of surveillance. It's the party of big tech, big ag, big banking, the military-industrial complex, and big ag, and big food, and big pharma. And so I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me.
You tried to run as a Democrat, and they locked you out. They wouldn't put you on the ballot.
Janelle, what is your question?
About 100,000 schools participate in the USDA's national lunch program during the year. If you're given a position by the Trump administration in the agricultural department, what will you do to improve school lunches?
I'll get processed food out of school lunch immediately. About half the school lunch program goes to processed food. About 70% of food stamps go to processed food. 10% of food stamps go to sugar drinks, to sodas. We're creating diabetes problem in our kids by giving them food that's poison, and I'm going to stop that.
Robert, we got to let you go. Quick question. You're talking about the difference from the McDonald's here versus another country, or the Fruit Loops here versus another country. What's the reason why? Like, if they know how to make it already, why aren't we doing it?
It's because it's cheaper for them to put the chemicals.
It's a cost.
Yeah, and President Trump wants to get the chemicals out. And he wants to make us healthy because in the long run, that's cheaper for a country.
Right.
It's America. America is the best at everything. We need to be the best at food, too.
There you go. Particular about it.
Having children in America and raising a family of my own one day.
Okay, that leads us perfectly to my next question, and that is, are you worried that, as long as America's been around, it seems like adults want their kids to do better than they did. Do you feel that is still possible?
I feel like it is a lot more challenging than it used to be.
It is indeed. And you're nodding. Why are you nodding?
Oh, this is my little girl, and yes, I'm interested in her family also.
Are you doing better than your dad?
I don't know. I'm trying, though.
It's tough, and it's got to be, as a father, to see how the young people are struggling, and we were talking earlier about mortgage rates and stuff like that. It's challenging. What are you worried about with the future and the next generation?
Well, we have a almost 8-year-old daughter, and the divisiveness between our major groups in this country, to be able to speak intelligently without being attacked.
Yeah.
We just have to get along a little bit better and respect each other, no matter what our opinions are.
This election the country is completely polarized. Are you reluctant to talk about politics in front of people you don't know very well?
100%.
Okay.
100%, because, I believe the world is gray and that we should all try to have some kind of civility with humanity and people just generally getting along. I have friends, I have family where politics have divided friends and family. And it's really scary because it shouldn't be that way.
And Thanksgiving's coming, and somebody's going to get drunk, and next thing you know, nobody's talking.
Thanksgiving, it's not happening.
Okay, who would like to be a TV announcer for you've already done it.
Studio audience, I have a special guest to help me with election day forecast. What's your name, my friend?
My name is Nina.
And where are you from?
Falconer, New York.
And have you voted yet?
Yes, I have.
You have. Round of applause for Nina voting. I love it. Have you ever done the weather on national television?
No, I have not.
You haven't?
No, I haven't.
Thank you.
All right.
Those are very pretty shoes.
Okay,
Fuzzy things on them.
but we haven't introduced Harris yet.
No, but you introduced my shoes.
Oh, there you go. All right, election day is a week away, and both candidates are giving their final closing arguments to voters. Watch.
Our country has gone to hell. So I made a decision to run. We're going to make America great again, greater than ever before.
For Trump, it's all about getting unchecked power while you pay the price. Donald Trump, more unhinged, unstable, and unchecked.
Okay, so let's bring in the beautiful Harris Faulkner, co-host of Outnumbered and host of the Faulkner I don't know how I can do that.
Yeah. How do I do that?
That might be challenging,
That
but
might
they're
be
so
kind of
cute.
challenging.
I
I mean, I can do it. I am
We'll have the
flexible,
camera catch it later. Dave will get a shot of it a little bit later. Okay, what do you think of the two different, because they're different messages.
They're different messages, and the gift of a closing argument is consistency. So what both of these candidates have to do now is stick to what they're going to stick to. And there's a decided difference that Kamala Harris has taken. Well, she's reintroduced herself and given closing arguments time and time again. So this one, if she wants to do well, has got to stick. Although it's negative and it's about hate and it's about calling people names and it's not the joy and all of that. I don't know if they poll tested Joy and decided that maybe Joy's not popular, but I personally love Joy. But I don't know what they found out. But with Trump, this will be, I would imagine, a consistent message, like chapter 2, if you will, of the huge delivery at Madison Square Garden. That was his official closing argument according to his campaign. So this is like part deux. I would imagine it'll be sharpened a bit. He'll go in on the economy and the border, and she'll go in on him. Hate Trump is the message from the left.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've gravitated quite some distance from 2016, 2020. People want a change. That does not represent a change.
Right. The Obamas over the weekend, very negative. The president, the former president yesterday, you don't know what tough is. Donald Trump isn't tough. I'll tell you what tough is. It's an odd message.
It's an odd message. And again, it's about inconsistency. And by the way, so many millions of Americans have early voted, many of them in in-person early vote. I've done it by mail before. In New Jersey, lines all weekend long. Yeah. I mean, it really means people are coming out to vote. We don't know how people are going to vote, but it's important people exercise that right. So if she's going, again, Brian, if she's going to be changing her message down the stretch here,
tell the surrogates.
It's hard because most of the people who are left like day, 2 before, whatever, might be undecided. So what you say matters, and that consistency matters. And it is time to close with conviction and few mistakes. And that goes for both candidates.
And people are motivated. We've been talking to the audience here. They're motivated by the economy. They're motivated by the border.
Yes.
On Fox and Friends First, about 2 hours ago, there was a super powerful interview with a woman by the name of Victoria Garcia. Her son was killed by an illegal migrant. We wanted to bring you a little bit of that. Watch this.
Vice President Kamala Harris, and she wants to make this about January 6th. The Brookings Institute did some research right after January 6th, a year later, 2 years later. In January of 2023, the country was divided on how they see it. 25% said it was time to move on. It's 2024 now, so we need to look forward, and those statistics are lessening. So not by a lot, the country's very divided, but there are more and more people who say, see it the way you want, but agree that it's time to move on. So she's
of the issues like inflation, immigration in her clothes. I mean, they keep attacking him personally, but his popularity is the highest it's ever been right now. Is that going to be effective in the close?
Well, clearly talking about policy that she was part of is not effective for her. So she's going to try, again, something new. A lot of people have already made a decision, are making it right now. The all-important battleground state begins today of Michigan and early vote. You've got 4 states starting early vote today. These times matter. So if she wants to talk about hate and what was, if she wants to be burdened by what was, we can be unburdened by what has been the last 3.5 years and look forward to a better economy.
I'm starting to get dizzy. Launch Harris on the Partner Focus at 11, and then more Harris on Outnumbered at noon.
And their emergency appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court asking to block the return of 1,600 alleged non-citizens to the voter rolls. Meanwhile, the Pennsylvania GOP is asking the court to block some provisional mail-in ballots, saying they don't follow state election laws. Ooh, this is a lot. Let's talk to the co-hosts of The Five. We've got Judge Janine Pirro, and we've got Jessica Tarlov joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so this seems, on its face, it seems pretty simple because there are these 1,600 people who self-identified on a forum at the DMV, I'm a non-citizen. And so the state kicked him off, but the DOJ says, you can't do that. Judge?
Well, it's no surprise that the Biden administration, along with several immigrant groups, have fought the fact that Virginia is trying to take off voter rolls those people who are not only not allowed to vote, but are illegals. And by the way, it is a crime for an illegal to vote. And the Biden administration is saying, no, don't touch those voter rolls because it's within 90 days of an election. Right. The only problem is Glenn Youngkin in Virginia started this before the election, and it's just taken that long to get to where we are. So the Fourth Circuit said, no, we're not going to take this. So Virginia has gone to the United States Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said, look, give us a reason why we shouldn't purge these people. Meanwhile, Alabama's doing the same thing. Other states have illegals, self-identified illegals, convicted felons, and they're saying, look, you're canceling out the vote of Americans who have legal votes. You're overburdening the system. And what we can do is you can explain that you're a citizen and deserve to vote. I mean, there's a way to do this. Don't just shut down and let all the illegals vote. It's a message. Come on in, all of you, and vote.
Okay, so here's the thing, Jessica. We don't know if they are non-citizens or not.
Right.
they haven't been verified. But if they're non-citizens, they shouldn't vote.
Absolutely, if they're non-citizens. But the problem is that you have a pot of 1,600 people where they, at least from the articles that I've read, seen evidence that at least a few hundred of them actually are U.S. citizens. So you would be disenfranchised.
And they did something wrong.
Right. That's the problem, and that's the balancing act that they're having to face. That's what's going on in Pennsylvania as well, all over the country. The good news is that we have never had instances of widespread voter fraud in this country. We don't have instances of people who are here undocumented voting, and that's what they're arguing in Virginia about this. It'll be interesting to see if the Supreme Court gets involved in it, but you don't want to disenfranchise 200-300 American citizens who have their constitutional right to go to the ballot box next Tuesday and cast their votes.
But right now we're talking about 1,600 in Virginia alone, in addition to now Alabama, Pennsylvania. If you say you're an illegal, I'm going to take you at your word, but I'll give you the opportunity to come back and prove that you are legal and are entitled to vote. There's a way to conditionally vote where then we'll count that vote once you.
But in Pennsylvania, which I know we're going to talk about, the Republicans are suing to make sure that you can't even cast a provisional ballot. It just seems like the theme is that Republicans want to make it harder for you to vote.
No, I think that it is the Democrats who are going to the Supreme Court and objecting to the fact that self-identified illegals are trying to vote. And the Biden administration is saying, let them vote, under the argument that this is the quiet period within 90 days. But there are exceptions in that quiet period. So
it's so early for this. My kids sleep at 5 o'clock.
It's like we're watching them live at the big table in this room. All right. Meanwhile, the election 1 week from today, Eric Trump told the Daily Mail what a second term would look like if his father is elected. And Eric said this: he, Donald Trump, would want nothing to do with prosecuting Hunter Biden or Hillary Clinton. He doesn't give a damn. He wants these games to end. He wants a safe, prosperous world and a fruitful society. He wants to get back to a country that is actually functional, that wins on everything we do. He wants to win on education, safety, economy, military. He doesn't want to go into senseless wars. He wants the respect of the entire world. So, Jessica, that is a forward-thinking, optimistic kind of message here in the closing.
From Eric Trump, yes. Listen, I have always said if Donald Trump and his campaign can stay on message, he should have a really good night. They seem largely incapable of being able to do that. And Kamala Harris will lay out her vision for her first term as president, and then hopefully a second term. Tonight she's giving a speech. And we'll see how it goes. It's obviously going to be very, very close, as all the polls indicate. Right. But yes, that is the kind of message that resonates with people.
Donald Trump.
You know, Donald Trump runs like he was never president, like he doesn't have a record. And whatever the phenomena is of people having not so terrible memories of his first term, it is very dangerous that they think that way, because they think, okay, we've already seen that movie. I can live with it for 4 more years, but it's not the same movie. You know, it's the sequel to Scream, where it's just that much bloodier. The trajectory he's on with his
Worse
thoughts,
actors.
the trajectory that he's on with his thoughts, his language, his health, his mental health, his cognitivity. I mean, if he, God forbid, is elected a year from now, Joe Biden is going to have the biggest "I told you so" laugh in American history. And that's what people have to think about. Not just the guy who throws paper towels sometimes, you know, and like, oh, that's funny, that's stupid, whatever it is. This guy is saying what he wants to do. You know, I've been sued once in my life, and it was by Donald Trump. And, you know, there are people, I mean, you're a journalist. You and I might be sharing a cell in 6 months from now.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing it.
You're called an anti-Semite more than what's this table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and...
I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die?
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that.
So what you're about to see over the next 10 minutes or so before Trump gets on is the absolute meltdown of the media. Trump broke them with that Madison Square Garden rally, just completely obliterated them. And this panel on CNN, the result of it was a complete, utter train wreck, which resulted in one of the guys being fired on the spot after this interview. The guy right there on screen who just said, hey, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. Oh, meanwhile, the other guy called all Trump supporters and Trump, Nazis. That's okay on CNN. But this guy said, well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. And all hell is about to break loose. It's delicious.
No, I did not say that.
Hold on. Did you just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys, let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Hamas?
Guys, let me
just Palestinian.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not saying that. Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against me?
Ryan, that is completely.
No, I apologize.
Good job, CNN. Let's have first block say the Muslim guy should be blown up.
I apologize
on TV.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
I thought you said Hamas.
You didn't think I said Hamas. I said I supported Palestine.
As you're watching this, realize this is a nationally broadcast show on a major news network. They can't. Oh my God! It's like perfect.
Yes, it is.
Why? Because when you hear
what's funny is Rudy Giuliani said this yesterday, so you're a great guest to be here to defend Rudy Giuliani.
Give me 1 second.
Today, and so at this point,
this is what we're in now. This is America in 2024.
Here's what I will say.
Forget the racism.
That's right.
It's I should die.
Right.
I didn't say that.
You said, what does beeper mean? Don't give me a finger.
I did not say you should die.
Why did you say with my beeper?
So what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper? No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
2024, the election of the century, has reduced these people to absolute banshees. They can't even control themselves anymore. You have to understand, you're on the air on a major network. You're being broadcast live. Well, there are 5 or 6 people there. And they just completely lose it. It's like they forgot the cameras were rolling, that there were people in airports across the country watching this and going, what the hell am I watching? Trump broke them. No other definition for this.
At least have the guts to support your racist comment.
I'm so sorry. Bring it back. This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us Nazis, but I'm going to threaten the brown guy as a terrorist and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said right here, apologize, but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it to me. That was disgusting. But I
don't care if you accept an apology. I don't care. Who the hell are you?
Be offended when you don't even say it to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said yesterday. And I'm offended that the former president and potentially future president would allow it and go for 12 hours and not say, I don't care. Because you know what? When Kamala Harris put out statements about switching up opinions, it wasn't good enough for Republicans.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you said it.
Why don't you take this back a little?
This was not.
And it just happened all day in the media. You realize at this point, they know it's over. They may try to do some shenanigans. They may try to pull off some sort of cheating. But for all intents and purposes, this thing is over. They know it's over. And they're clawing and fighting for their lives at this point. They have no idea what to do. Trump broke them. There's no other explanation. As you're watching this stuff evolve and be shown on national television, it's a comedy at this point. They realize when Kamala Harris loses, not if, when Kamala Harris loses, they lose as well. You see, Trump has already made inferences. He's going to use the FCC to stop this BS that these people put out. And smart people are beginning to see the light, but the other dumb ones, they're gonna go until the wheels fall off. They're gonna just keep pushing the insanity as far as they can, especially this woman.
This was a hate rally. This was not just a presidential rally. This was also not just a campaign rally. I think it's very important for people to understand that these are mini January 6th rallies.
Do they not realize nobody cares? Nobody cares. You know what people care about? They care about Trump winning. They care about gas prices. They care about grocery prices. They care about rent. They care about their mortgage payment. They care about taxes. And today with Steve Bannon getting out of jail and going directly to the studio, he's going to rip these people a new one. I mean, it's good. Don't venture from your studios. The real world is going to be too tough for you guys to exist in about, I'd say, 8 days, 7 days.
These are mini Stop the Steal rallies. These are rallies to prime an electorate into rejecting the results of an election if it doesn't go the way that they want. Because Donald Trump and that entire cadre of people up on that stage, Stephen Miller, etc., do not respect the law of the United States of America.
We're going to find out how they respect the law, won't we? Yep. We already see them trying to make us accept newcomers to vote. You got Department of Justice suing Virginia to make sure that they do not take newcomers off the voter rolls. It's insane. These are the same people who sit in the studio and go, Trump's people are doing some bad things. Hey, can we sue and make sure these newcomers stay on the rolls? Because we need to have these newcomers vote. Never mind the fact that I'm saying the word newcomers. Talking about violating the law, you might want to tell some of these people who run these networks that we have First Amendment, but that doesn't seem to be stopping anybody. You got to use different words. You got to have codes. Make sure that people don't understand that what you're talking about. That the bots that they crawl the videos. Make sure you stay in line. Stay right here. Don't go outside the box. And you want to talk to us about not observing law, and that's like the First Amendment. But you have no problem with that. Oh, you had a problem with Elon Musk because he's allowing the First Amendment to prosper. I don't know if you guys saw, and I'll show it to you later after the press conference, all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes right now, how YouTubers, not me yet, are getting these letters from the New York Times saying, hey, listen, we're going to expose Benny Johnson, and we're going to expose Tucker Carlson, and Ben Shapiro, and Tim Pool, and we're going to do what we can to show people that you're purveyors of misinformation with the hope of YouTube demonetizing you or completely banning your channel, right before the election. That's going on right now. These people are getting emails and letters from the New York Times saying, hey, listen, we've gone through your videos and we need you to explain this, and this. And we want to know if you're monetized on YouTube, which they can already check. They already know. And we want to know, have you been banned or have any enforcement from YouTube yet? They're doing everything they can at this point on these big conservatives going full steam ahead, trying to censor them. And we got this woman up here talking about, oh, well, the Republicans don't follow the law.
And they either want to win this election or they are using rhetoric of taking it by force. That is what they mean, and that's what they're doing when they are inciting violence and hatred.
Does she know the definition of rhetoric? Because it's obvious she doesn't know the definition of irony.
Against Latinos, against Black Americans, against Americans who don't have children, you have J.D. Vance literally talking about watering down people's right to vote.
As I said yesterday, she obviously doesn't understand the definition of literal either.
Depending on if they can viably carry a child or not. We have to understand how unhinged this campaign has gotten, and the only reason that the rhetoric has gotten this far is precisely because they are trying to prime the kind of froth that led up to the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And so it's very important that we connect those dots. And right now...
Who are you connecting the dots for? Specifically, I just want to know. I just saw 20,000 people in Madison Square Garden, another 90,000 outside. You don't think that we can think for ourselves? We need you to connect the dots? Or are you talking about the idiots who watch that show? Because I'm wondering who the dots of connection need to be forwarded to, because they don't seem to have any clue. So you're admitting that your audience is gonzo.
The campaign is scrambling and they're trying to blame this rhetoric on a so-called comedian. This is not a comedian. This is the Trump campaign. They invited this rhetoric on their stage for a reason. It was a chorus of...
You know, it's funny, she says he's not a comedian. Jon Stewart on Jon Stewart's left-leaning Daily Show completely showed that they were idiotic for saying everything they did. Obviously, Jon Stewart is no friend of Donald Trump, but he actually came out and said, the guy's a comedian. He's a roast comedian. That's what he is. You may not like it, but he's gone to events like the Tom Brady roast and roasted people. And he said some really, funny things about everybody on the stage. He called Gronk a Nazi. He made fun of Kevin Hart's diminutive stature. Somehow that was all okay, no problem there. But you make fun of, the garbage in Puerto Rico, and they want to have your head.
Speakers on that campaign for a reason. It was vetted, and they knew exactly who was going to say what before they went on. And so the only backtracking that they're doing right now.
I'm not coming to your studio like Trump. You're going to come to wherever I tell you. This is going to be a home field, number one. Number two, I'm not doing 3 hours. I'm only going to do 1 hour. What? And Rogan told her, go pound sand. Hopefully you'll change your mind. We're in a position, and this is where people were freaking out all day today on X. We're in a position that a podcaster has more media power than the friggin' vice president of the United States. She's begging to get on his show. She wants her terms to dictate how that interview goes. And he's like, don't need you. Bye. Think about that for a second. Just let that sink in. That the vice president, who is normally CNN, MSNBC, ABC, would fall over themselves to get her to come on. And a podcaster said, no. Step. That's what they fear. That's why they fear you. That's why they fear me. They understand that we, and collectively, the enormity of we, have more power than even the politicians who run this country. That's why Trump got off his butt and said, you know what, hey, Barron, can you find out where I should go, who I should talk to? Because these people are who people care and listen to, not these idiots on television. Hey, Elon, can we do something on X? Yep, come on over, bro. Billions, with a B, billions of people. And Elon's not even a podcaster. They just did a space. We're in a post-media environment. Trump is going to hold a press conference here momentarily. You haven't missed anything while I've been talking. But he knows at this point, this is a formality. He's going to put out something here, but if he really wanted to see a message amplify, he'd go to Rogan. He'd go to Elon. This, whatever is coming out of here, is just something for them to feed on. Because it doesn't really get the kind of impact. I thank you. You guys are here at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning. But he knows where this is going to go, whatever he's going to say. And I have proof, absolute proof, that what's happening is working with Elon and Trump. And that proof is in the fact that Jeff Bezos said no more. We are no longer going to do this crap. We're not going to endorse a presidential candidate. We're going to be like the media is supposed to be. We're going to be Switzerland. We're not going to say anything. And the fact that that man said we're Switzerland caused liberals to go absolutely crazy. You cannot be Switzerland as far as they're concerned. You have to do what the lefties want. If you don't do it, I'm going to quit. You just told the second richest man in the world that if you don't do what I want, I'm going to quit. How do you think that worked out? Bye. And not only that, now we're going to bring in more conservatives to work at the Washington Post. The comment section under his article was absolutely, well, it was delicious. Absolutely delicious. I'm going to show you that article. We have a few minutes here. He has not walked out yet. So I want you to see this. This is just incredible. All right, so this is the article that Jeff Bezos wrote. I may have to do this so you guys can see it better and center it. All right. It's a quick, small little article. Jeff Bezos, as they had to explain, is the owner of the Washington Post. In the annual public surveys about trust and reputation, journalists and the media have regularly fallen near the bottom, often just above Congress. But in this year's Gallup's poll, which he linked, we have managed to fall below Congress. Our profession is now the least trusted of all. Trump broke down. Nobody trusts the media. These people are going on television all day long and nobody really cares what they have to say. Something we are doing is clearly not working. So this is a man, second richest man in the world, runs businesses and goes, hey man, we need to look at this. It's not working. We need to fix this. It's broken. Obviously it's broken. I'll go down here. Let me give you an analogy. Voting machines meet two requirements. They must count votes accurately, and people must believe they count the vote accurately. The second requirement is distinct from and just as important as the first. You guys are reporting to news, but the second part is people have to believe what you're saying, and that's not happening. He goes, likewise with newspapers, I'll say / websites, we must be accurate and we must be believed to be accurate. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but we are failing on the second requirement. My question to Jeff Bezos and everybody in the media is why being accurate and truthful would be perceived as being a bitter pill to swallow. Isn't that why you got into journalism? Isn't that why you bought the newspaper? That's the fundamental aspect of being in the media. And now he's saying it's a bitter pill to swallow. That make any sense to you? That's how far gone the media is. Because anyone who doesn't see this is paying scant attention to reality. Like the CNNBC guy was talking to Byron Donalds. He's like, you don't understand reality right now, man. He goes, those who fight reality lose. Kamala Harris? You want to go out there and call people Nazis? Those who fight reality lose. Reality is an undefeated champion. I might make a t-shirt out of that. Reality is an undefeated champion. Further, he goes, presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election. I would go as far as to say presidential endorsements. Oh, he does say, he didn't, I'm sorry, my fault. I thought he was just saying newspapers. No, he says presidential endorsements, which includes celebrities. Beyonce, you're not moving the needle. Not at all, especially because you didn't sing. Lizzo, nah, it ain't working. Presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election. Further, what presidential endorsements actually do is create a perception of bias. Yes. Means what I'm listening to is not true. You have a bias. A perception of non-independence. Ending them is a principled decision and it's the right one. So, Barry, you always talk about Trump. You're a Trump supporter. Are you, a victim of bias? Absolutely. But I can state that. I'm not the news trying to be an independent source of journalism. I am a pro-Trump, pro-conservative podcaster. I say it right in my handle, my bio up there. up there. Say it on Twitter. This is who I am. I do not say I'm an independent news source because obviously I'm not an independent news source. I support Trump. The news for decades has tried to come across as though and then what he says here is just great. That perception of independence, ending that is a principled decision and it's the right one. And he goes back to 1933 from the people who published the Washington Post initially, is they wanted that independence. They wanted to be perceived as people who were actually just bringing you the news and then you could decide for yourself. He goes, I would also like to be clear that no quid pro quo of any kind is at work here. He's not getting anything from Trump. He's not kissing the ring. He's made his decision. Lack of credibility isn't unique to the Post. True. Our brethren newspapers and news studios, I would say, networks, have the same issue. And it's a problem not only for media, but for the nation. Many people are turning to off-the-cuff podcasts, inaccurate social media posts, and other unverified news sources, which can quickly spread misinformation and deepen divisions. The Washington Post and the New York Times win prizes, but increasingly we only talk to a certain elite. More and more, we talk to ourselves. I.e., he's realizing X is killing them. The news, his own words, has become an echo chamber. Those panels on CNN, the only people paying attention to them are Nuts and the other panelists. Nobody cares. It's like watching a clown show. You're not giving anybody information. You're screaming at each other. He knows that. You got to give Bezos credit for that. And then he goes, I will not allow this paper to stay on autopilot and fade into irrelevance. Might be too late. Overtaken by unresearched podcasts and social media barbs, not without a fight. It's too important. Yeah, because you got a big investment you're going to lose. The stakes are too high. Now more than ever, the world needs a credible, trusted, independent voice, and where better for that voice to originate than the capital city of the most important country in the world. To win this fight, we will have to exercise new muscles. I have an issue with that. As I said earlier, why are they new muscles? Why is it that you have to teach different muscle memory to people whose job is to be independent journalists? It tells you, he just told you, everything you see on television, everything you read is fake. These people are complete nuts. They're in the tank. All they are liberal, basically puppets for the regime. It's all coming to an end. It's all being destroyed. It's all just crumbling down in front of their eyes, and they can't take it. And this man has now come out and said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. It ain't working. He's smart enough to realize, number one, he's got a huge investment at stake. And number two, when shit's broke, you got to fix it. As Trump says, Trump will fix it. Bezos is like, I got to fix this. Meanwhile, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, all they're out there doing is talking about Nazis in an echo chamber that only people like them are listening to. I will give Jeff Bezos the credit that he's trying to do something. Will it work? I don't know. He's going to have a full-scale mutiny on his hands. It's actually happening. People are quitting left and right. The comment section, I'm unsubscribing. Oh yeah, all the liberal nuts, I'm unsubscribing. I think he might have called Elon Musk. He goes, Elon, if I make this decision, people are going to bail on me. What do I do? Elon probably said, do it. You got the money, absorb the hit, let them go. Let them flee someplace else. They did the same thing to Twitter. Let them do their boycotts. Let them scream and do everything. And then reemerge as a source of information that you want to be. Elon spent $44 billion, and you've seen the memes. He didn't spend $44 billion to buy Twitter. He spent $44 billion to create a free speech monolith, a mega force. And that's what he's doing. And what's happening is the advertisers are coming back. The advertisers will always follow the eyeballs. If the eyeballs are over here, all of their ideologies and crap is like, I got to sell product. At the bottom of every balance sheet of every country, every company in the country is, I need to sell my stuff. And if you are the place where I can sell more stuff and satisfy my stockholders and make money, that's where I'm going to advertise. No longer are people going to be beholden to the left nuttery and say, I can't advertise with you, I got a boycott. No longer can they orchestrate boycotts on Twitter, or X rather, and say, we're not going to shop here anymore. No, that's not going to work anymore. The advertisers realize what's happening on November 5th, and they're like, we're going to be free. We're going to be free to advertise where we want. You're not going to have the Department of Justice going after McDonald's. You're not going to have the CDC going after McDonald's. You see, that was insidious stuff. Trump shows up McDonald's at one McDonald's in Pennsylvania, and they put the entirety of the CDC and everybody else on top of them to try and hurt that company and hurt their stock, which he did. That's what Dementia Joe and Kamala Harris are doing right now. They put people in jail. Peter Navarro, Steve Bannon, Paul Manafort, name it, on and on and on. They put journalists in jail. They destroyed companies. They've sued Elon Musk who knows how many times. And now people are realizing, I don't want any part of this communist crap, and I can't wait for Trump to get in and basically open the floodgates. That's why I know that the economy is going to take off. There are so many companies that are sitting back going, I just can't piss off these people right now. Merrick Garland will come after me with some sort of lawsuit. I ain't going to have to worry about that in about 4 months. We got to win, and then we got to fight, and then we got to get him in the office. As I've said, I'm sure Steve Bannon will say the fight doesn't end on November 5th. That's when it begins. That's when it starts, and you got to be there because he's opening the path for us. He's saying, I'm going to tear down these walls. All these things, all these media outlets are toast. Don't worry about them. Don't even consider what they're saying. And people are responding, go, hey, that's stupid. And now you're going to be able to fight to get through to inauguration. Because it's going to be bad. It's going to be brutal. It's going to be, hopefully, not bloody. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you this morning. I didn't think I'd get it all in, but Trump basically waited until I was done. I'm sure, give him the word now. Hey, somebody give him a call. Yeah, Barry's done. Yeah, you can go on. You can go out there right now. Barry's completed his show. Yep. Yeah, he's ready. That's a call that's being made right now. I'm pretty sure down in from where I am, up in Mar-a-Lago. He's right up the street. But let's take some comments.
What is it? October 29th. Oh, it is October 29th. Today is today. Noise in the background noise. That's up 60 game. It's your boy Doug. Tuesday morning. Beautiful sunshine. 63 degrees and climbing. It's my day. Coming out to do my thing. I'm taking you guys with me. Ba-da, 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 ba-da. Across the street. Gonna leave the camera on for you guys to see me come back out. up. And I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what time it is. Let's see. You guys see that? Let's go make it happen. You guys get to watch it. That didn't take long. Y'all know what to do. Get your ass up. Get your family members out. Let's get our country back.